Okay, shut up. Let's get this started.
Okay.
So, welcome to the Kitchen Table podcast. This is the wife, fiance.
Fiancés.
It's the girl version. I'm Caitlin. I am Riley's wife of almost 2 years. I am 22 years old. I'll be 23 in August. I am 20 weeks pregnant. I was going to say months, but I don't know how many months that is. So I'm 20 weeks pregnant.
Let's not make Kate do math.
I don't want to do math. 20 weeks pregnant. I'm due August 7th. And yeah, so this is the Lady Podcast.
Oh, yes. The girls.
The girls.
All right. I'm Tara. I'm 21 years old. My fiance's Aiden, and we are getting married November 20th. Super excited. Super impatient. I just want to be married, but we'll get there. Patience.
Patience is a virtue.
Yes.
And I'm Jamie. I am Austin's fiance. I'm very old compared to them. I'm 31.
But you don't look it.
Well, thank you.
You're 23.
Wasn't it Bob who told you that?
It was Bob
Yep.
who told me that yesterday. He said that I look younger than Austin, and I will remind him of that every chance I can. But as you can probably tell, I don't sound like them either. I am from Tennessee.
I wish I sounded like you.
Well,
I know.
it's a blessing and a curse. But Austin and I are getting married on November 6th, so a couple weeks before Tara and Aiden. We are also very excited. We are also very impatient.
Mhm.
Yeah, so there's a lot to figure out between now and then. So God's in control, though.
Yes,
Mhm.
100%.
Austin told me the other day before you came that because I do this thing where I hear people's accents and I start talking in their accents.
Oh, I do it too.
And he told me it's
so
because
bad.
like I'm a sympathetic person. I was like, I knew it was awesome.
Well, I don't know if you paid attention yesterday to his sermon.
I haven't listened to
Okay,
it.
you need to listen to it. There were like 3 or 4 times. I mean, he had a thick Southern drawl, and he did not mean to. But like seriously, when he flies out to Tennessee, it's like 2 days
I feel like people
tops, and then he
think-
starts talking.
I
Like
feel like
me.
people think I'm just like being annoying though, so I really try to catch myself when I do it because I don't want you to be like, why is she like
know.
mimicking me? But
I
like it's
know.
really just like I don't know, it just comes out.
Yeah.
I enjoy it though. At least I know I can do a bunch of different accents.
I know.
If I could have any other accent in the world, I think I would want to be British
Yeah,
or Australian.
Australian.
Yeah.
Australian's kind of
Actually, I don't know. I think British.
messy,
Yeah.
Yeah.
kind of lazy.
Is that what Dan is? He's
Yep.
Australian. Yeah,
Yep.
I know.
That's
Sometimes I can't understand him. I'll go with British.
British.
Yeah.
Well, sometimes you can't understand them. Like, I love the Great British Baking Show. Like, I'm obsessed with it. But sometimes I'll have to, like, pause it. And even an episode I've seen, like, 10 times, I'll have to turn the subtitles on. I'm like, what did they even say? But they probably think that if they heard me. So,
Exactly.
yeah.
All right. Well, this is the Lady Podcast episode where we're just introducing ourselves and
The ladies are at the kitchen table.
yeah, the ladies are
You hear
actually
from the men all the time.
Yeah.
So we wanted
They
you to
talk
hear
a
from their
lot.
better halves.
Yeah.
yeah, they talk a
So.
lot. We don't.
No. The antisocial
As you will
ones.
as you will learn. As you will see
Yeah.
and hear.
Okay, but we're just gonna talk about how, like our stories of how we came, to church. How we found God.
Yeah.
How we met our significant others, and yeah, who wants to
You're
start
already
it off?
talking.
All right, I'll start it off. My story's a little long, but so I grew up Catholic.
I did not know that.
You're gonna learn
I'm
a
gonna
lot.
learn
You're
so
gonna learn a lot,
much. Oh
honey.
my goodness.
So I grew up Catholic. I was baptized, did all the communion, everything for that in Fillmore, and then it was in like pretty much all Hispanic church.
Mm-hmm.
Every time I went, never.
Most Catholic churches.
Yeah, I never
Yeah.
understood anything.
Was it in the valley too?
No, it was in Fillmore.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So, I didn't go to church that often because I was a pretty competitive soccer player, like until I was 18. So like it took up most of my weekends. so yeah, I really fell out of church. My parents didn't really, it wasn't like a huge thing for us, you know, even like with my dad, it wasn't a huge thing because my parents are divorced. So I guess I got older and, you know, I started doing dumb stuff and I was a teenager and I, you know, started smoking weed and, you know, being stupid. And I became severely depressed when I was 16. I had to go on like medicine and everything, therapists, doctors, all the time. But then I graduated high school. I had no clue what I was going to do after high school. I was like, I'm just going to wing it. I'm going to take a year off, you know, just like see where life takes me.
Me too.
Don't ever do that.
No.
Don't ever take a year off. Like when people are like, oh, go take a year off, go travel if you're going to do that. Don't be stupid and just stay at home, okay? Like go do something with your life. But I stayed home and I worked as a waitress and a nanny and yeah, I just started doing like really stupid things, you know. I was hanging out until like all times of the night, you know, doing drugs, not just marijuana, you know. I was doing other things. I was taking pills, you know. And I got like super, super depressed. I stopped taking like all my medicines and I was like, I'm like not really going to get anywhere in my life. And then I also wasn't talking to my dad at the time. So that was like, you know, you don't really like, it's hard when you don't have like relationships with people. They kind of put you in check.
Yeah. No one to keep you accountable.
Yeah. Exactly. So I don't even know how old I was. I was 18 or 19 and I tried to kill myself. Yeah. You already know that. Jamie's looking at me like, huh?
I did not know this.
Yeah.
Like, what? Yeah. I took too many pills and I wrote letters to like my whole family. And yeah, it was serious.
Yeah.
I wrote letters and my mom found me and called the ambulance. Then my best friend came over. All this other stuff. I ended up in a psych ward for like 4 or 5 days. Yeah. It's all good now. Obviously.
Yeah.
Well,
She's looking at me like, oh my goodness, this poor girl.
Jamie's like, Jesus, take the
take the wheel.
Exactly.
And that's what he did.
Literally. So I got out of the psych ward and I had already started, I came to Mission Church once with my dad because we had kind of started talking again. And then we kind of, you know, I came
Was it
around.
because of your uncle living there that you noticed the church?
What uncle?
Jackson and Christine.
Oh, well, that's how my dad got into Mission Church. Was because of my
Right.
aunt and uncles.
Oh, okay.
They were going, and then so my dad started going. And then so my dad told me about Mission Church, and I was like, oh, okay, cool. And then I went once, and then like never went back. And then I took like a month pretty much off to like after like I got out of the psych ward and stuff. And I just had a burp. Sorry.
My
It's the
stomach's
baby
over here
acid reflux.
rumbling.
Yeah, it's the acid reflux. I had donuts.
And we didn't get water, so.
Yeah.
Yeah. We'll blame the boys.
Yeah. Yeah, and then so I started like reconnecting with my dad and I started coming to church more and I really like was like, this is awesome. I love it. I love the worship music. Like that's what really got me into it was like worship music. I love worship music. And yeah, so I kind of like, it was in December I started going really frequently. And then in January we do the Daniel fast every year.
Yeah.
So, and during the Daniel fast, I was just like praying really hard, like, okay, like I need to get my life together. Like I need to do this. I want to find a husband. Like, I know probably not the best time, but like I that's something I need to strive for here is like finding a husband and like getting my life together. Oh, and figuring out like a career for myself. So my mom actually found surgical tech school for me. And then she was like, hey, like I found this is pretty cool. And I've always been interested in like gross stuff like that.
No, I did know that about you.
It takes a certain person to do what I do. So,
Holding legs and
yeah,
all
it's
that.
fun. Yeah. So I found the school and I got accepted into it. And it was, you know, that was a huge blessing to me. And But it was really during the Daniel fast that like I was praying a lot, and I really heard like God talking to me for the first time. It was like, you need to like come to church, you need community, you need to like rebuild your relationships with your dad, your family.
Yeah.
You need to do all these things because I'm the one that created all this turmoil between all of us, like I did that, so I need to fix it. So yeah, after that, I mean, I don't know, I haven't stopped going, yeah, so I mean that like really changed my life. But also like when I was in the psych ward, like it sounds crazy, but like all of these crazy people that are talking to themselves in there and
Yeah.
everything, like they believe in God, like 100%. Like it's crazy to see that. Like they all like are reading their Bibles and they were talking to me, and I'm like, whoa, like I don't understand. Like you guys like have some serious stuff going on, but yet you guys like full on believe in him, and like you guys know that he's going to take care of you.
Yeah.
And so it was pretty interesting, and I think that's what kind of like pushed me towards coming back to church, and I'm happy I did. But then I met Riley. He just kept bugging me, to be completely honest.
He still does that.
Yeah, well, yeah. But, like, it wasn't like that at first. Like, he was just like, hey, come to our youth group. And I was like, like, because I was coaching soccer at the time, too. Like, I had, gone back to, like, my old soccer coach and was like, hey, I need to, like, continue to do, like, more things. Like, I need to get involved. And he was like, yeah, like, you can start coaching. So I was coaching with my old soccer coach, which was great. But it was on Tuesday nights, and that was when we started up youth group. And so I would go coach from like 5 to like 6, and then I would leave. And I'd go to youth group, and it was like, what time did they start? Like 7?
7?
Yeah.
I think it was 7.
Yeah. So then I would drive all the way across the town. I'd come to Canyon Country, and then I'd be there from like 7 to 8, and then sometimes we'd go out to eat or whatever. But like the first time that I went to youth group, it took me like 20 minutes to get out of my car. I was like, oh, I was so nervous. I was like, oh my gosh, like, cause I've never like done that type of like thing.
Yeah.
Like I've come to church at this point for like a couple months, but I was not like in that environment. I've never been in that environment to like go and like talk to people about like their experiences or like just God in general. Like
I mean, just in general, opening yourself up like that is scary and nerve-wracking.
Super scary. Like I would always like, they would like ask questions, and I'd be like, oh my God, I don't know if my question's good enough, like, or my answer's good enough. Like, I don't know if this is right. And it's not like it was like right or wrong. I didn't know. Like I was still growing. I was still learning.
Right.
But like everyone goes through that. They're like, I don't know. Like if it's just like, no, just say it and you'll learn. Yeah. But, so I kind of like insinuated things like, I was going on hikes a lot, and then his friend Tommy was like, hey, like, let's all go on a hike together. So we all went to like Towsley Hike.
Good old Tommy.
Yeah, good old Tommy. So we went there. We hung out like once, and then I don't know, like we just like exchanged Snapchats. And I started my clinical trials for school. So I was at the hospital in Oxnard, and like we were just like Snapchatting each other, and I was like, oh, okay. And then I was like, I'm gonna go to In-N-Out. Do you want to come? And he was like, he just said yeah. So I was like, okay, cool. Like I made the first move, just so everyone knows.
And it was In-N-Out, which is the best option.
Yeah.
It's the way to anybody's heart.
Yeah, right. Okay, and then we get to In-N-Out, and he is dressed up so cute. He's like wearing a nice shirt. He's wearing his like nice jeans and like fresh kicks, like super clean. I'm wearing one of my baggy flannels and a tank top, my leggings, fuzzy socks, and Crocs.
Just wait. Yeah.
Crocs, right?
Crocs.
So
that is a very popular look in Tennessee. Like you would fit in perfectly. I'm just saying.
I'm glad.
It's still very current.
Just adding points. Day
But
by
like,
day.
yeah,
I know.
he just looked so cute, and I'm just like over here, and like I look like like I'm about to go to sleep, and I'm wearing Crocs.
What was your mindset? Were you ready to go on a date, or were you ready to just hang out?
I don't know. I was like, I'm just gonna go and
You're just
see where
feeling
this
it out.
goes. Yeah, I'm just gonna
And then
see
you
where
saw
this
him
goes.
and you're like,
I
this
was
is a
like,
date.
look at him. Like, damn. Like, he just came and did that. Like, okay. But yeah, we we were at In-N-Out and he paid for my food, which was like,
Aw.
that's a good sign.
Mm-hmm.
And then we talked for like 6 hours. We were there until like almost 1 a.m. in the morning.
Wow.
Yeah. Yeah. On like a Thursday night, I had to go to work the next day.
Ooh.
Yeah. And I had to drive back to Fillmore too. Yeah.
How long of a drive was that?
It's like 30, 40 minutes.
Bless your heart.
Yeah, I know.
But it was worth it.
It was worth
Like
it.
she knows
So
where
worth it.
Fillmore is.
I know. She's like, what? Yeah.
Yeah, I have no idea. But 30
We forget.
minutes is
Yeah,
long.
30 minutes. Yeah.
Yeah.
And yeah, so we like talked for a long time. And then I was like, I knew it that night. I was like, I'm definitely going to date him and I'm going to marry him.
Aw.
And then he did this really, I didn't like what he did, but we hung out like one more time after that. He helped babysit my cousins with me, right? He sat me down. He's like, okay, so this is it.
Second date.
Yeah, pretty much like second date. It wasn't even a date. We were just babysitting my
right.
cousins,
Yeah.
right?
Second hangout, if you will.
Yeah. And he just laid it out. He's like, so I want to get married. And he's like, and I think you're a really cool girl. And like, if that's not something you're looking for and like that's something you're not striving for, then like, I think we'd be good as friends. And I was just like on the inside, I'm like, no, like, I want that. I want that. And like, I was like, I just prayed about this. Like,
Yeah.
this is,
Yeah.
and yeah. And so like, he was like, but this is my life. And, it's, you have to, it's, a lot of work and all this stuff. And then he left for 2 weeks on vacation with his family.
Oh.
Yeah, they went on a road trip. And we talked
He
the
gave
whole
her a
time.
deadline.
He said, yeah, he basically told me at like the end of that, he's like, so if you can like, if you think like you're good with this, then like let me know when I come back from my vacation and we can, we'll start dating. And if not, like just tell me and we're good. Like don't worry about it. But I want you to pray about it and I want you to think about it. I knew my answer, but like I also was like, okay, like that's that's nice.
Yeah.
He's not like I need to know right now.
Right. Well, you wanted to respect
Yeah.
what he was asking you to
Mhm.
do.
Yeah,
Mhm.
totally. And so he was gone, and we talked the whole first week, and then the second week he had texted me, and I was in Arizona picking up my sister and moving her back home to California. So I'm busy. I'm like haven't looked at my phone. Sorry, I'm also out of breath because I'm pregnant. And he texts me. He's like, hey, this week, like, I don't want to talk at all. And I'm like, excuse me? You don't want to talk to me at all? He's like, I think we should take some time. Like, you really think about this. I'll really think about this. And like,
Man.
when I get back, we'll talk. And I'm like, wow. I was so mad. So I didn't respond
There you go.
for like maybe 3 hours. Like, I think pretty much all the way until I got home from.
If you said you don't want to talk,
Yeah.
we're not going to talk.
I'm like, all right,
Yeah.
boy, we ain't
It
talking
starts
then."
now.
I won't even respond to his message. But it took me like a couple hours to respond because I was just like, what the heck? Like,
Mhm.
we've been
You
having.
didn't even say to that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I just said, like, okay, like, sounds, good. And it sucked. We ended up texting each other like on Thursday. Like, we weren't going to text each other until like Friday until he got home. But he was in Vegas on Thursday and he like came home early on
Oh.
Friday.
Oh.
Like he wasn't supposed to come home until like late Friday,
Yeah.
but he got home early on Friday. So, we ended up like texting each other. He ended up like I was literally felt like I was gonna text him, and then I got a text from him, and I was like, oh, okay. But in this whole like 2 week period, like I was praying and I was like reading my Bible, and I was really into like notebooking and journaling because it just helps like get your anxiety out. And so, I just. I felt like it was right. Like, this is something I had prayed about. Like, everything that we talked about, like, that 2 weeks previous, like, it was literally, like, what I had been praying about.
Mhm.
So I was like, this is, like, I need to stop just, like, questioning everything and just, like, this is it. This is, this is.
Literally an answer to prayer.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like, I just need to listen and shut up and
Yeah.
don't be all nervous. And especially it was nervous because he was my first boyfriend. I never
Oh.
dated anybody else. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. So it was like super nerve wracking. I'm like, I don't know what it's like to have a boyfriend.
Yeah.
I don't know what it's like to be a girlfriend. I don't even know what it's like to be, like do any of this. And I was
Yeah.
like, it was all new to me. And he had previous relationships. So I'm like, okay, like this is going to be hard.
Intimidating.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah. But, yeah, we started dating. And he came up Friday night. He came and picked me up because I was living at my grandma's. He came and picked me up. We went to the beach. He bought me like this old antique medical book. It's in our house.
Wow.
It's so cute. And then like this thimble from like Tinkerbell and stuff. It was really cute.
That is sweet.
Do you like
So
Tinkerbell?
sweet.
I had never seen the movie, but I looked it up. He like gave it to me, and I think he was like really excited about it, but I had like never
Oh,
really
no.
understood what it meant. And he was like, I think he was like kind of disappointed I wasn't like so excited,
Yeah.
and I just thought it was cool because it had like Yosemite stuff or
Mhm.
Yellowstone stuff on it. That's when they went to Yellowstone,
Yeah.
and I was like, oh, this is so cool. And he's like, do you know what it means? And I'm like, no, I don't. Honestly, I can't remember right now, but I have it in my house. So,
Oh, wow.
yeah. Then we started dating, and then like literally like 3 weeks in, I was like, I was like talking to like my sister, and I was like, I think I love him, but I can't be the one to say it first. Like that's not gonna happen.
You never said your answer to his deadline of.
Oh yeah,
When you get
that Friday night I said yes.
Okay.
Yeah, he's like, so what do you think? And I was like, yeah. I was like, I knew, but like I wanted to like take time and really
Yeah.
pray about it. And I'm like, you're like literally the answer to my prayers. So
Mhm.
yes, like of course we're
Mhm.
dating.
Yeah.
This is it. We're getting
This
married.
is it. Yeah.
Where's the ring? But like 3 weeks into dating, I was like, yeah, I'm pretty sure I love him. And my sister's like, you know, I was like, I can't say it first.
Mm-hmm.
So we ended up going to my dad's old girlfriend's house in Irvine. And we were talking one night, and I was like, I can't say it. And he's like, say what? And I'm like, I can't say it. And he's like, fine, I'll say it. And then he like told me he loved me, and I was like, it was all butterflies and cute and lovey-dovey.
Isn't that just awesome, that feeling?
Yeah, it is. Yeah. I never felt that. Like, I've never said I loved you to anyone.
Yeah.
So, like, or I mean, other than
Wow.
like my parents, but like,
Not in that context.
not in that
Yeah.
context, you know? So it was like, oh, this is so
So
awesome.
this is what it feels like. This is
Yeah.
what all those songs are talking about.
Yeah.
Oh my
Yeah.
goodness.
And then we, I don't remember how long were we dating? June?
She's counting.
11 months.
No. And when we got engaged.
Oh.
It was 6 months when we got engaged.
Wow.
Yeah. Yeah. Started dating in June. We got engaged in December.
And then married in May.
And then married in May.
Wow. That was quick.
Yeah, so we weren't even dating a whole entire year before we got married.
Well, that makes me feel better.
Yeah, it's okay. Hey,
Yeah.
if it's meant to be, it's meant to
Exactly.
be. You know, it's
exactly. And you know.
You know,
And
Like,
when
you
you're
just
going
know.
into it with that intentionality and that confidence,
Yeah.
and God's at the center,
yeah,
Mhm.
exactly.
you don't need to freak out. Everyone's like,
Exactly.
oh my gosh, you're
Yeah.
so young.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
didn't like
Oh,
my
you're so old.
so like it's about time.
Yeah.
No, I mean, and it's true. It's like I was still like growing, in my faith and everything, but like that was like something me and Riley like we really put God at the center of relationship, and we still do to this
Mhm.
day. I mean, you have to
Mhm.
like that's part of your marriage. Like
Yeah.
it's
You'll fall apart if you
Yeah.
Mhm.
You're married to your husband. Well, you're kind of like you're married to God too. Like you
Yeah.
give him the same like respect that you give anyone
Exactly.
else. So
Yes.
yeah, that's my story.
don't.
She's
Ooh.
sticking to it.
And I'm sticking to it. That's it. Mm.
You
Tara.
wanna go next?
All right. Okay. I'm not a talker, so bear with me. Well, okay. I was a troubled child. I was always super quiet.
You still are.
I'm still am, yes. I in high school, kind of same thing. My parents divorced when I was about 13, and that was really where I wanted attention.
Mhm.
That was my way of getting attention, was rebelling, smoking weed, hanging out with friends till 3 in the morning, and it was just this endless cycle. And once I graduated, I was really at a point where I was like, okay, as we do when we graduate, what are we going to do with our lives? It's no longer school. You can't play these games anymore. And I kind of thought, okay, I can either, fall into even more drugs and then possibly, end up dead like most druggies do. I mean, let's be real. Or I can focus on something else. So Hannah, my best friend, was just now starting her walk with God. And granted, I had grown up with a pastor as a grandpa. I had grown up going to church, but I wasn't even going consistently. I wasn't a servant in church. I was kind of just there, and I had a lot of knowledge, but I didn't know what to do with that. I still don't have a lot of knowledge. Nobody can say that they know the Bible like super well, I don't think.
You're always.
There's
I feel like
always-
everyone's still.
yeah.
There's
Yeah.
always growth.
Yes.
And so I went to church and I went to youth group, and it was actually at a different church, real life. And this church, I made so many friends. I had met so many broken people in the church to the point where I was like, okay, I can be open. I don't have to be scared. Like, there's all these people that are talking and, explaining like the deepest issue of their heart. And it was just really empowering to me because I was always so quiet and I always shut everything down and kept everything inside. So yeah, I loved God. That was such a sanction for me. So I ended up looking for other churches because real life was kind of, we're not gonna talk crap about real life, but if you know, you know.
If you know, you know.
So I had met this lady named Demi. love Demi.
This lady, like
This
she's
lady.
old.
We love Demi, but she's definitely a lady. So I went to Mission Church and I instantly fell in love by the home that it had created for me. Everyone there was like a family. It was a small church, and I was used to real life, which you talk to one person and that's it. And it's a mega church, and you have no connection. It's weird. So, Demi introduced me to Mission. I never actually did that segue. I went to Mission and fell in love with the worship, fell in love with Pastor Ron's sermons, fell in love with people, and I was like, okay, this is where I want to stay. I do not want to leave Mission Church. This is a home. I started to serve in the church, started to join youth group, and I actually really looked forward to youth group because it was like nerve-wracking, but compared to the people I used to hang out with, it was like a breath of fresh air because we could talk about our issues and we could talk about God. Other people, you talk about God and it's like, ooh.
Yeah, it's really hard.
It's awkward, it's weird. They don't want, that's not my thing. It's never something you can actually talk about. And then, of course, I had a crush on Aiden.
We all knew it. I knew it.
Yeah. So and then I was talking to Riley, like trying to learn about Aiden, and he goes, yeah, and he's at heart, and he's got a girlfriend, and I'm 19, he's 17, and I was like, ooh, that is weird. I was like, all right, so he's off limits. He's not a thought in my mind. I wasn't even ready for a relationship. I was like, this is fine. This is totally cool, God. Like, thank you. If it's not for me, it's not for me. It's fine. I then dove deeper into my relationship with God, and that's what I really wanted to focus on. I was not at all thinking about a relationship, if we're being completely honest. And then I had joined worship because I really wanted to worship. I loved worship. Worship was something that you could really dive into for me and not think about anything else but you and God. And I had started doing the little cajon. Do you know what the cajon is?
It's like a box.
It's like a box drum.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Totally suck at it, but I loved worship.
No, it was great. It was great.
I loved worship. And I started coming up to the house here to practice. And that was fun. And I honestly, everyone says it. You did it for Aiden. No, I did it because I wanted to worship.
But like a little bit.
But like a little bit.
They were up here every Tuesday practicing. Like, it wasn't just like her and Aiden. It was like another kid, Seth,
Yeah.
too.
Yeah.
But like, every Tuesday. Like they're all up here, like where our house is now. Used to the studio, and they were in the studio all the time, like practicing. And it was like for a year straight, like not a year. It was a little bit less than a year, but like come on, like it was a little bit more Aiden.
That is
Yeah.
commitment to the process.
Oh yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. But that was the thing too. I was looking to commit to something, so I wanted to commit to myself to the church, and then I think Kate started picking up the vibes. Kate and Riley.
Oh, I picked up many vibes. I was like, ooh, ooh.
And I vividly remember we would always go to dinner after youth group.
Mm-hmm.
We went to Wingstop, and I left my wallet at the church.
Yes.
My freaking wallet.
Left her
I
wallet.
couldn't even buy myself dinner. So Aiden's like, "Oh, I'll go with you. I'll go with you to the church." We go together, and we get my wallet. It was totally fine and normal. And
We
I
all
get-
thought it
But
was
it
weird that
wasn't
Aiden
normal.
left to go with her to get.
Yeah.
I mean, like it's super nice. It's like the man thing to do, like go
Mhm.
with the woman to like make
Yeah.
sure she doesn't, get jumped or anything.
Yeah.
But we were like, oh, okay, Aiden and Tara, check them out.
hmm Yeah, no, it was super random. So
like the light going out
yeah.
was super random.
whatever.
well. Oh well.
So I get back home that night, and Kate's like, "Hey, so do you like Aiden?" And I was like,
Whatever gave it away.
I
You're like,
know.
what?
It's
She was like, no.
Yeah, I said no. I
We're
like
like,
him as
okay.
a friend. I said I don't want to ruin anything between us.
Mm-hmm.
By this time, he was 18 and without a girlfriend, so I think everyone else was like, "All right."
He wasn't dating her anymore.
I said without a girlfriend.
yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. I was like with the girlfriend. I'm like, no, they
But I
were
want to
dating.
know why. What made you want to text me?
Well,
Were
okay,
you just
so
impatient?
well, no, because so like you guys had left, right? And then so we were ordering our food, and then we all sat down. They were still gone. So I like looked at Hannah, and I was like, Hannah, does Tara like Aiden? And I just saw it on her face, like she wanted to be that good friend that doesn't give away her friend's secrets, but she totally did. I was like, okay.
At the same time, if both participants are being really
Yeah.
slow about it,
Well,
but
yeah,
everybody
Aiden's
else
very
knows.
slow.
Yeah.
So
Oh, and I'm
he's so clueless when it comes to girls, like so clueless. Like he doesn't catch the vibes.
Yeah.
And so I was like, okay, like I'm gonna step
Gotta
in.
intervene
I'm
here.
gonna intervene. And so I was like, Hannah,
But did you think that I would ever intervene?
What do you mean? Didn't Aiden text?
In the text. Like, is that why you were
I
like,
was
kinda
shocked
like,
that you. I honestly, I wasn't shocked that you were trying to play it off that you didn't like him. I was like, you sent me that back, and I was like, she's so full of it. And then I was like, Aiden, like me and Riley were like, Aiden, you gotta step up your game here. We're like, you gotta, and he's like, no, she doesn't like me. She doesn't like me. And we're like, yes, she does. Like 100%. I'll tell you this right now. She likes you. He's like, no, I'm not catching that. And I'm like, dude, what are you talking about? He probably doesn't sound like that, but
close
No,
enough.
he kind of does.
close enough.
Yeah.
But anyways,
Kinda.
I take credit, and so does Riley, for the relationship. We started that.
Yeah. Bloom, if you will.
Oh.
Ooh.
Oh, she went there. I love
Just
it.
wait for the wedding gifts.
Love
All the bloom.
it.
All the flowers.
Mm-hmm.
Can't
All the gifts with
wait.
bloom on it.
Ooh, so fun.
So how long did you all date before you were engaged?
We dated for crap, that's actually a good question. About a year and a half. No.
Not 2 years.
Yeah, about a year and a half.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. About a year and a half. Honestly, it took us a while to even date. Like we were, like she
Yeah,
said,
they hung
we were
out for like a
slow.
couple months.
We were very slow, and I think his parents were very much like, you need to be careful. They had seen Riley and him, break bridges kind of with people in the church by, dating, and I think they're really careful with Aiden. Like, let's not make that happen again. And then with me, I was almost kind of super guarded. Like I said, I didn't expect to be in a relationship in that time in my life. Super guarded, and I was almost kind of jaded too because this is a pastor's kid. I know what that's like. I know it.
Yeah.
It's like you're famous in the church if you're any sort of relation to the pastor, and I don't want to be that. I was like, I've already been in that.
Fair game, Yeah.
Yeah. And I was like, come on, this is like so cliche. And I was just annoyed and angsty and weird. And finally, I got over myself, and my sister was like, "Hey, so you're talking with Aiden, but like nothing's actually happened. Like, do you think he even knows that you like him?" And I was like, that's a good question, because I was being slow and hesitant. So I finally asked him one night at our worship practice, and I just said, "Hey, let's go to lunch." And I remember him. He was like looking down at me. And then he looked at the wall and he was just staring into nothingness for like 5 seconds. And
He
it was
does
the
that.
longest seconds of my life. And he goes, "Yeah, I'm down." And
I
yeah,
hear
I'm
him
down.
saying that.
Yeah, I'm down.
Yeah, I'm
So
down.
we went after class. We were both at COC at the time. We went after class to lunch and hung out for a while. And honestly, we just talked and we got a feel for each other. We hung out. We played Pokemon Go in the parking lot.
That was really big at the time.
Yeah, super big. And we were all nerds like that. So
Yeah.
I know a few nerds that
Yeah.
are like that.
yeah.
His name is Austin.
So after that point, he continued to ask me out on dates, and still I was hesitant and I didn't want to give in. And he'd be like, "Can I hold your hand?" And I'd be like, Our first date, he
I
asked me that.
chuckled. He asked if you could hold your hand.
Yeah, and I was like, just like this, okay. And then I grabbed his hand.
The first time I held Riley's hand, after like 10 minutes, he goes, "Dang, your hand's sweaty." And I'm like, wow, like you really just outed me like that.
Oh,
That's how I felt about Aiden.
I'm like, I'm nervous
sweaty.
here.
yeah. Oh my gosh.
Yeah. But slowly things progressed, and we had that talk where we were just like, okay, we can either stop and be friends, or we can get married. And we are both of that headspace of, we're gonna date to marry. We're not just gonna
God.
mess around and, like, what's the point? There's no point. It clearly talks about that in the Bible. Like, it doesn't really talk about dating. Dating is such a weird phase. And I just knew. I had no doubt in my mind. We had both been praying about it. And we had really worked on building a friendship for so long. It was like, okay, there's no doubt about this. And then went on family road trips with you all. That was super fun. Vegas, Zion. I actually lived with them for a while,
Oh,
but
During
not
quarantine.
not fully.
in
During
the
quarantine.
Airstream.
okay.
But that was an eye opener for me, because I would see Aiden all the time. It wasn't just like, you get ready for a date, you come with a smile. It's like,
Yeah.
he was grumpy. And I was like, okay, I can handle his grumpy butt. So,
Yeah. It's different. Like I lived here for a little bit
Yeah.
before me and Riley got married.
mhm.
Yeah.
It's a whole different.
It's a different ball
Wow.
game.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah. But again, if God's at the center, it's not really that big of a deal. What am I saying? Yeah. So
You guys got engaged.
we got engaged. Yes, he put a ring on it. October 2020. Amidst all the craziness, he managed to get a ring and ask me to marry him in the most perfect way possible, in my opinion.
I would say so.
With the help
I
of
planned
Kate,
it.
Stephanie.
So you know it was perfect because
Yeah.
Kate planned it.
Yeah. I did a
There's
lot of
a
the
theme
work.
here.
You were very instrumental.
I'm a
in this.
matchmaker. If anyone needs help, hit your girl
Alright.
up.
I can think of a lot of people. Yeah. Getting married in November along with Jamie.
Yeah. Along with.
I'm excited we get our fall weddings.
Oh yeah, they'll be beautiful.
Yeah.
Excited.
Is it your turn?
I guess you're segueing to me. Is that what
She
you're
said, "Jamie."
She said, "Jamie." Alrighty. So I, oddly enough, this is something you don't really hear a lot of people be able to say. But I mean, I've literally gone to the same church my entire life. Like,
That's what
Wow.
Austin was saying.
yeah. I think I was dedicated in my mom's old church, but she was slowly transitioning to the church that we go to now, Alive in the Spirit. And she was a part of the praise and worship team, and so, I was there every time the doors open for practice, for services, for everything. And I mean that was just my life, church
Mm-hmm.
every time the opportunity presented itself. And so growing up, I was very involved.
Mm-hmm.
It was through all the classes and things like that. And when I finally got old enough, I started to sing on the praise and worship team. And
How old?
so 13.
Ooh.
13. So I've been a part of that ministry 18 years now.
That's
So,
crazy.
yeah, that's a long time. But I got saved when I was 6, and the Christian television station TBN, they would always have like these shows on Saturday mornings that were really catered towards kids. And I remember looking through my baby book one time, and Mom had written down, I'd watched one of the shows, I think it was like Colby's Clubhouse or something like that. And she was like, Jamie asked Jesus to come into her heart today. And 6 years old. So
Aw.
Oh.
I knew I was saved. I knew Jesus was in my heart. But as I grew up and, became a teenager, was still involved in church, but it almost felt like I was just going through the motions.
Mhm.
Like I was
Mhm.
just playing the part I thought I should play. It was
Mhm.
like I'm trying to be this cookie cutter Christian, do the things I'm supposed to do, say the things I'm supposed to say, but what am I doing, not just in church, but even outside of church, to build that relationship
Yeah.
with Jesus and to truly know what it means to commune with Him and to spend time with Him and to worship Him, not just when I'm on stage or not just when I'm out in the congregation, but when it's just me and Him. Like,
Mhm.
what am I doing to really cultivate that relationship? And so that sort of led to me being depressed.
Mhm.
And, all through high school, I was just very, I just wanted to be alone. Like, I was very guarded. I didn't have many friends, but it wasn't that people didn't like me. It was just I didn't like me.
Mhm.
So I didn't want to share me with other people
Yeah.
because
Right.
of that fear of, well, what are they going to say? What are they going to think? They're going to find me out. They're going to realize, oh, she's not this deep Christian, that she portrays herself to be. Like she's kind of shallow a little bit. But, I did not like myself. I just didn't. And so, the devil will use anything.
Oh, yes.
He can.
Yeah.
He knows exactly which buttons to push, and he pushed that button hard. And it got pretty dark at times, but I'm so grateful and thankful that my parents are together, but my dad he's never come to church with us. But my mom is a prayer warrior, if ever there were one. I mean, if you've got something going on,
I've
and you
seen
want
her
somebody,
pray.
oh my
I've
goodness,
seen her pray.
like she's the one who's gonna knock down heaven's gates for you, buddy. Like her prayers are powerful, and so I'm grateful and I'm so thankful that she stood when I couldn't stand for myself. She stood for me, and she prayed, and those walls were broken. It took a while. It took a while. But I accepted who I was. I accepted God made me. He's got a plan
Yeah.
for me,
Mhm.
and it's not just to get by. It's not just to survive. He wants me to thrive, and
Mhm.
not only just to thrive, but to thrive in Him and the calling and the purpose and the plan that He has for me. And not to say that it's all a bed of roses now. There are still days I'm like, you're
Oh, yeah.
such an idiot. Like, people think you're such a moron. But that's something everybody deals with at times.
Yeah.
Mhm.
But you just
Yeah.
kind of get over that.
It's
But
the lies.
it is.
It's the lies that
But
aren't real.
I'm a lot like you. I didn't date. Like, my whole teen years, my early 20s,
Yeah.
I didn't date.
Mhm.
And
I dated one person, by the way.
one
Just so
person.
people.
Just
I
clarify.
always wanted my first boyfriend to be my last. That's always something
I
I
know
said,
it is.
right?
Yeah.
So it's like it just worked out so
That's so
perfectly.
Thank you,
sweet.
Jesus.
But I was on my own personal health journey, trying to lose weight and things like that. And I'd actually had gastric bypass surgery. So I lost.
Didn't know that.
Yeah. See, we're all learning some
We're all
stuff.
learning
We're all learning
things.
some stuff. When I was 20, I think. So yeah, about 11 years ago.
Oh, wow.
And so I'd lost like, I don't know, 100 pounds,
That's
100,
awesome.
140, somewhere
Wow.
like that. But because of that, I started watching the show The Biggest Loser.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And I loved it. I mean, it was like super cool
Mm-hmm.
to
I would
see.
watch that with my mom too.
Oh, I
Yeah.
love it.
It was funny because for the longest, sorry,
Oh, no,
quick,
you're good.
quick little note. For the longest time, I was like, Austin would come to church back when we were at the school, and I was like, why does he look so familiar? And then up until recently, like when he were at Village,
Uh-huh.
Austin was like, he was on Biggest Loser, and I was like, that's where I know
That's
him.
where it all makes sense. It all makes sense.
Yeah.
But I remember, and I don't even think he knows this, but I remember I had started seeing somebody, not officially dating or anything, but we'd gone out a couple times, and he knew that I liked the show, and his mom loved the show. So he invited me to come watch the show at his house, and it was Austin's season, and he was on it, and that was all I could think about was Austin. Austin's on the screen, and he's just, oh my God, like the curls.
It's like when you root for that person, you're like, I was rooting for him the whole
the
season.
whole
Yeah.
time. The whole time. But, so that, yeah, the guy didn't stay. Shortly after, obviously. But no, I was a huge fan, and not just because he was a cutie, because he was a cutie, but just his heart. Like, you could see his heart. You could see what a good guy he was, like a genuinely good guy. And so I proceeded to do what I do best. I Facebook stalked. Yeah,
okay.
it's a hidden talent of mine.
It's okay.
I know.
You know,
I stalked
think-
until I found Riley's Instagram too,
Yeah.
so it's
I think
okay.
most
So it's-
girls have that power.
you gotta
know?
do what you gotta do.
Yeah.
I mean, obviously the boys are slow, so
They
you
they
know,
are.
we gotta take matters into our own hands,
Mhm.
especially if you're Kate and for other people, you know. But through a series of events, you know, we started connected on Facebook, and he had actually started dating somebody like right after the show had ended. So you know, you have that fantasy of, oh, I'm going to end up with my celebrity crush. Yeah, that was didn't happen when I thought it should have. But shortly, well, I say shortly, it was 2 years later. He had posted something on Facebook, and it sort of made me wonder if he was okay. It was, you know, he seemed sad, like different for him. Like it was a different sort of side for him, and so I just messaged him, and I'm like, you're probably not even ever gonna read this, but you know, if something's going on, and you know, you need somebody to talk to about it, I volunteer and tribute. You know,
Yeah.
pick me.
Yeah. You're like, hello.
Yeah, over here. And so he actually messaged back, and I was shocked. And it was very generic. It was just like the whole, you know, thank you for reaching out, you know,
Yeah.
thank you for your kind words, you know, anything like that. And so we slowly started talking. It was probably for the rest of the day, just about what was going on, and you know, the breakup, and you know, he was super sad about it. And I remember at the end of the night, like I was going to bed because 2-hour time difference,
Right.
Mhm.
and he doesn't ever sleep anyway. So I was like, well, you know, I'm gonna go to bed, and he's like, well, you know, that's fine, but is it okay if I talk to you tomorrow? I'm
Oh.
like, you don't even have to ask. Like,
Message
you
me.
have an open invitation at all times,
anytime.
anytime. And so we started talking, you know, like all day. I'm not an actual telephone person. Like, if you need to talk to me, you better just text me.
I love talking on the
Oh.
phone.
Yeah, I'm the opposite.
Well, I do now,
Yeah.
and he's sort of the same way. He'd rather text. But of course, keep in mind, this was 2012, 2013, somewhere around there.
Mhm.
Mm-hmm.
And so he would call periodically, and so like we would text, we would call. That went on for about maybe a month, and I think we both just sort of realized at the time this isn't really healthy, for lack of a better word, because I think he realized that he was maybe not treating me like he thought I deserved to be treated. He was almost treating me like a crutch, almost like a rebound, and
Yeah.
not in that negativity, like not in that negative light, but just
You don't.
almost like a fill-in, like a stand-in
Yeah.
for that attention that was no longer there, and just somebody to talk to.
Yeah.
But because of all that, we just sort of decided, oh, let's just be friends. We'll just talk when we can. So from like 2013, we probably didn't talk to each other for probably a good 5 years, 5
Wow.
or 6 years. Yeah, like nothing, like static.
That's crazy.
Whoa.
Nothing. And then, I mean, like I would still think about him from time to time, just like, I wonder what he's doing. So I'd like go check his Facebook, see what he's doing, check his Instagram, and one day I was like, oh, I know what would get him to talk to me. I'm gonna ask him a question about a rowing machine. I was like, so what goals should I have for a rowing machine? Like, how many meters should I go and what amount of time?
So random.
I'm like, yeah. And he's like, I mean, he told me, so it worked. I was like, hey, this is awesome. The lines of communication are open again. And he's like, what even made you talk to me? Like, what even made you ask me that question? And I'm like, well, it was just something I wondered. And I'm like, you of all people would know. So, So that sort of started, kind of broke the ice a little bit of not talking for so long. And so we would text periodically, just check on one another. Both of us knew that we were not in any position to take it any further than that. And so, oh goodness, 4 years ago, I was dating this guy, and I had been set up by a coworker, and we dated for about 3.5 years. And like you said, when you're dating, and this goes for anybody, and if you don't have this mentality, I would adopt it quickly.
Yep.
You date with the intention of getting married because it's biblical, for starters. And second of all, if you're not dating with the intention of getting married,
a waste of
what's
time.
the point?
Yep.
It's a waste of time.
You are burdening yourself, you're burdening someone else, and it's unnecessary. Like, if that's not the end game and that's not the goal, then
I feel like it's only going to lead you to sin at that point.
Exactly. And so, I mean, 3.5 years with no mention of getting married. None. And at this point, COVID had hit, just like right off. So pretty early on. And I mean, we weren't seeing each other. Like, we couldn't.
Yeah.
Like, we couldn't see each other. And I remember texting him one night, and I'm just like, I don't think I can do this anymore, because I don't see this going anywhere, and you don't let me know that this is going anywhere. So men, let them know it's going somewhere.
Yep.
Or not, and save everybody some time.
Yeah.
But I mean, even that last night, I was like, do you see us getting married 6 months, a year from now? Nothing. Like, he could not commit to anything, and I'm like,
did you see it?
Honestly, with him, no. And that's, I think I was almost wanting him to
make the first move,
come to that realization first, so I wasn't the bad guy.
Right.
Yeah. I think it's hard, but I think at that point, it's like, okay, we got to step up, though, too, and be like,
and fight for what we deserve and fight for our desires. But I was like, if you don't see it happening, what's the point?
Yeah.
Why are we going to waste any more time? And so we broke up that night. And shortly after that, Austin had sort of been in communication with me. We'd had some really severe tornadoes come through really, really close to where I lived back in March, like the first week of March in 2020. And he had texted me, and he's like, I heard about the tornadoes. They're pretty close to where you live, I think. Are you okay? Like, do you have electricity? Was your house damaged? Is your family okay? And so we had sort of started talking because of that, but it wasn't, I mean, it was just like a here and there kind of thing. But then once that relationship ended, like, the very next day, all I could think about was, oh, I think I want to text Austin. just going to tell him, because he knew. Like, we had talked about the relationship, and I was just trying to sort of get some advice. Like,
Yeah.
you're a guy, so you know how guys think. I don't.
Mhm.
So give me some direction here. Like, what needs to happen? What do you think he's thinking? And I mean, he knew the issues that we were having. So so I texted him, and I told him what had happened, and I don't think he reacted quite like I kind of wanted him to. But he was supportive, and he was like, you know, whether anything happens with us or not, you needed to get out of that.
Mhm.
Yeah.
You needed to be with somebody who saw a future with you,
Yeah.
you know? And, you know, the guy, he was not a bad guy at all. I always say he was a good guy. He just wasn't the God guy.
Mhm.
He wasn't the one that God
Yeah.
had planned for
Yeah.
me to be with. So we started talking more. This was probably about May, the end of May, beginning of June. And I mean, we started talking. You could definitely tell there was a change. It was like, you know, this has ended. I'm going to start talking to her even more now. So, I mean, I would stay up, like I said, 2-hour time difference. I would stay up 5:30, 6:30 in the morning, my time, because we weren't in school, because
Yeah.
we'd gone home.
Yeah.
And, like, we would play games together on our phones. We'd talk on the phone, we'd FaceTime, and all things that I wasn't crazy about doing, and he wasn't crazy about doing it either. But when we were doing it together,
Yeah, it's fun.
It was
A
fun.
long
and
distance
flows.
date.
yeah. And so finally, it was about the end of June. He was like, I think we're dating.
I think we should
Actually,
put a
yeah,
title
like,
on
let's-
this.
and we had kind of joked about it before, and he always called us a thing. Like, we were always a thing.
Like in your
but
high school and you have
yeah,
a thing with
you're-
someone.
Yeah, you're talking, you're a thing.
The weird talking face.
Yeah.
Those are fun.
Oh yeah. They're really fun when you're 30, you know. Yeah. But then he was like, you know, I think boyfriend girlfriend sounds really good for us. I'm like, that's so corny, but yes, it does. It sounds really
Like, yes.
good, really, really good. And so, like, shortly after that, we started planning. I mean, like, we were planning. We never met in person, but we started planning to meet in person. So we, like, started officially dating in June. July, it was just, you know, kind of hectic with the different things going on for both of us. So August was the fateful month that we were going to meet, and he'd booked a flight. He was going to stay with me and my family, and I think that was the month that maybe the COVID cases in Los Angeles sort of skyrocketed, like, big.
Yeah, probably.
And
I don't remember.
So, yeah, I don't really remember.
I can't remember.
But I know that he wanted to be cautious because he knew, you know, he didn't want to get me sick. He didn't want to get my family sick. He didn't want to be, you know, he didn't want to risk it. And so he was like, you know, I just have peace. He's like, I prayed about it. You know, we both prayed about it. We're like, you know, God help us use wisdom. You know, not just to go by our feelings, but to really use wisdom with this situation. And he's like, you know, I just have peace about maybe canceling it. I'm like, well, you know, I have peace about it too. So I think that's what we need to do. So August was axed. And so then I planned for coming here in September. So I was going to fly here in September, and I had gone on a flight, my very, very, very first flight in July.
Did we meet you?
I didn't
This
come in
time?
September.
You didn't.
I did not come in September. I had prepared for it. I went on a flight in July, my first one ever, and I was like, yeah, I can handle this. I'm going to come in September. Literally, like, the week before I was supposed to come, my mom got COVID. So not only is she quarantined for 10 days, but I'm quarantined for 25 days. So I remember I called him and I was bawling. And if he can't understand me talking now, he sure can't understand a Southern woman when she's crying. Like, that's a completely different language. But
Oh, that'd be such a disappointment, though.
Oh, well, and I was upset because I couldn't work for 25 days, and that's 25
Yeah.
days that my students wouldn't have a
Mhm.
teacher, and it's a crazy year anyway. And then I was like, my trip, like, my trip's gone. Like, it's just gone.
Mm-hmm.
And, but he was like, no, it's okay. Like, I still love you. You still love me. We're going to make this happen. If
Yeah.
it takes another year, we're going to make this happen. And up until that point, like with any of my like dating relationships or anything like that, like I always had this fear of when something bad comes, when a rough patch comes along, like they're going to run.
Yeah.
It's just easier to run.
Mm-hmm.
But that was like the roughest patch. Like we were going to meet and now we're not. And not only that, but you know, your mom's sick, you could be sick. But he didn't go anywhere. I mean, if
Yeah.
anything, you know, he really used that time for us to get closer. You
Yeah.
know, we would text more since I wasn't working. You know, we'd call, we'd FaceTime, all that stuff even more. And so it was really, really good. But then finally in October, he flew to Tennessee, and we met, and it was like, you know those movies where they're like running, like it's a dream sequence, and they're like running
the
through the
meadow?
fields in slow motion.
Dun, dun,
Like
dun,
I
dun.
thought it was gonna be like that. It was not like that.
Was it
But
like super awkward? Like
It
seeing
was
him
so
and you're like,
awkward.
you're like,
Oh my
Yeah.
gosh!
this
Like,
is it. This is the guy. This is the guy.
yeah, like this is the guy I have loved for 10 years of my life, you know, without ever seeing him before in person. And I remember being real self-conscious about like his interactions with me on that first night. I was like, he didn't even kiss me. Like he barely hugged me. Like what is going on? So I was just really
Like we're
tormented.
dating, but
yeah,
it's also like he probably feels like he needed some time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And he's like, and you know, that's exactly what he said. He's like, we both just needed some time
Yeah.
to adjust to even being in the same room together.
Yeah.
Right.
You
It's like we're
know?
not just texting
It's
each
so
other
Yeah,
anymore.
it's like we're
This is
literally
different.
breathing the same
Yeah.
air. So that's sort of different than
Yeah.
what we're used to dealing with here. But I mean, after that, it was like we'd always been together.
Mm-hmm.
It was
Yeah.
it was natural. It was easy. And so he stayed for about a week in October. And then in November, I came out here and I met you all. Went to church with him, met you
Mhm.
all.
Ooh.
And then December, he came out to Tennessee for about a week. And then I flew here and stayed for about a week. He spent Christmas in Tennessee. I spent New Year's
Yeah, but what
here.
happened? during
An amazing thing
Christmas?
happened. And I sort of ruined it. I don't know if he's told you all the story.
Oh, I've heard this
You
story.
heard the story.
Yeah.
I ruined it.
Yeah.
So come to find out, after his first trip, first time ever meeting in person, when he came back to California, he started having an engagement ring made. I mean, like we only spent 1 week
I
together.
With
in
the
our
lady
lives.
who makes
all
who
the
makes-
engagement rings.
All of ours.
Just want to put that out
All
there.
of ours.
I remember him talking to Stephanie, me, Aiden about getting your ring. And he was like, hey, can I have her number? I was like, oh, this is
Yeah.
happening.
Happening fast, yeah. But we had gone to Pigeon Forge because during Christmas, like their lights are just gorgeous. They are so beautiful. And so we just walked around. It was really nice. It wasn't too cold. It was about, 40, 50 degrees. And you know him, he walks around in a t-shirt when it's
Yeah.
20 degrees outside.
Seriously, I'm
And
like, dude,
I'm-
come on.
I'm like,
It's cold out here.
yeah, for real. But no, it was really nice. And he would like take selfies in front of all the Christmas trees. And we'd actually sat down at one of the benches just to kind of look around. And he started talking to me. Like I knew
You had a feeling.
his intention was that we were going to get married. I didn't know like a timeline. I wasn't. I just didn't have any
Any clue?
inkling about that. Yeah. I was thinking, maybe my birthday in February, maybe Valentine's Day, something cute like that. But we sat down and he was like, so if I were to ask you to marry me, like who all do I need to ask permission from? And I'm like, really? He's like, yeah. So I gave him this big, huge list. I'm like, my parents, definitely grandma, Pastor Brad. Oh, you might even want to ask Kevin too, because he's like my spiritual dad. So you can ask him too, and just all these people, and he's just sitting there like kind of rolling with it.
He's like, oh, dang, okay.
Yeah, like, yeah, I can do that. I can do that. So then we get up and we're walking to leave, and he sees this last Christmas tree, and he's like, oh, let's get one more picture before we leave. And this time he goes to hand his phone to someone else to take it. But, like, everybody's taking pictures there.
Mhm.
Everybody.
Mhm.
So, like, we kept having to wait. And he was just getting real fidgety. And he doesn't get nervous unless he's about to preach or something like that. Like, he just doesn't. He's so chill all the time. And he was nervous. Like, he was fidgeting. He was nervous. And I remember looking at him and was like, what is wrong with you? I mean, like, what's going, like, why is this different? Like, why do we have to have somebody else take our picture here and not just, why won't a selfie work? And he's like, oh, just forget it. Just forget it. Okay. So then he wanted to go eat dinner somewhere. He loves barbecue. When he comes to Tennessee, he loves to eat barbecue.
Well, of course.
So, yeah, he's like, let's go find some barbecue. And he was like, I wonder if it's going to be like a picnic table type thing or if it's going to be fancy. But
it's like, why are you asking all these questions?
Yeah,
like,
well, we get there
let's
and
just go eat.
it's picnic table. It is a picnic table with a lovely checkered plastic tablecloth like this.
Woo.
Yeah. So he was going to propose at the tree. If it hadn't been a picnic table, he was going to propose at dinner. But then we were just walking around looking at the sky, and he had it sitting there, and he had fixed his camera without my knowledge to see everything, just to get it all. And he pointed to the box, and he's like, do you know what that is? Like, yeah, I do. And I'm like, and I remember saying, no.
It's better than cussing.
It's true.
I
Yeah.
cussed.
She cussed.
I said, what the fuck?
I do remember that story.
I said, how did you do this?
With all the cameras
I just
pointed
kept
at
saying
her.
no.
She's like,
I just-
what?
I just kept saying no. And then I was like, oh, wait, he might think that's my answer. And I'm like, no, that's
You're
not
like,
my answer.
Right.
And so he proposed. And so we'd only been dating about 6 months. And at that point,
It's
we had
okay,
only
girl.
seen each other like 3 times.
Yeah.
It's okay.
So
You know, you know.
when you know, you know.
And now you're getting married
There's a
in
theme of that
November.
around here.
There is a theme of that. That's one of the biggest things.
November.
And I've always prayed that whoever I did end up with would have a circle of friends that I could become a part of, and that
Yeah.
he could become a part of my circle of friends too.
Mhm.
Of course.
And so back home, I mean, he's a part of it. Like he's a part of everything. And when I
That's
come here,
awesome.
I'm a part.
Yeah.
And it's just
Yeah.
like it's the best thing ever because
Yeah.
it's really uniting.
Mhm.
It's really becoming one.
Yeah.
Right.
So yeah, so he's definitely. I get to marry my celebrity crush.
You
Like,
do.
people don't get to say that a lot.
For
But
real.
I get
You
to say
literally are
that.
your celebrity crush.
Yeah.
Yeah. There's something really quick I just wanted to add. Totally missed it. That was the main idea of my whole story was
30 minutes later.
I know. So I keep mentioning like having God at the center,
Mhm.
and I just wanted to mention what that means in a relationship. And for me, I was, talking to Pastor Ron. I was asking him about love, sex, and marriage. I was talking with my Opa. I was talking with all my mentors around me, and that really gave me a lot of confidence, like going into it. And then just about Aiden, I think, people need to know what it's like to have someone who is a Christian partner. And with him, it was like God was very much speaking through him, and he was leading me. He was always leading me to Jesus, and that's my main thing.
Mm-hmm.
He always told me I was capable. He always told me I was beautiful. He always told me, exactly what it talks about in the Bible,
Mm-hmm.
I just wanted to mention that and
Yeah,
say
it's
that
good to definitely have a partner that pushes you to
Mhm.
grow,
Yeah.
not someone that's going to drag you down.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Someone who holds you accountable.
Yeah.
And like you said, someone who speaks the
Mhm.
word into your
Yeah.
life and
Yeah.
treats you the way Jesus would.
Yeah.
That same love,
Mhm.
and
Yeah.
same unconditional.
Yeah, to where there's
Love.
almost no doubt in your mind.
Exactly.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Exactly. Like yesterday when Austin was going to preach, I know he went around to a few people and he was just like, "I'm nervous. Can you pray for me?"
Mm-hmm.
and he sat down beside me, and he just kind of looked at me. He's like, "Will you pray for me?" And like that,
Yeah.
that to this day, like everything, the last 31 years of my life, that's probably one of the biggest honors that I've ever had in my life is for my
Yeah.
future husband to ask me to pray for him.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
And you know, he's prayed for me
Yeah.
over different situations, and you know, that is just such a crucial thing. Not only do you need to pray for each other on your own, but you need to pray together.
Pray together
Right.
is a
So
very
good.
big thing. Yeah.
You know, there's power in prayer, but then there's also power in numbers. You know,
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
so you know, and it's good to know that you know your partner has your back. Your partner knows what's going on with you in your heart, the situations you're going through,
Yeah.
the trials you're facing, and not only do they know it, but they're standing with you,
Mm-hmm.
and they are believing with you, and they are fighting with you. So
Yeah.
that's the man you need to wait for.
Yep.
The man who challenges you spiritually, stands with you spiritually, is truly a leader. And I don't know about you girls, but I didn't think they were out there. Like,
Oh,
I didn't
no.
think men like that were
Oh,
out there,
no.
you know?
No, I didn't.
No.
Like,
Complete surprise.
yeah. And so when
Yeah.
you've basically all but given up hope, bam, like, there they are.
Yeah. Seriously, it's like when
Yeah.
you least expect it to.
Mm-hmm.
It's like I feel like a lot of girls go looking for it too.
Mhm.
They're
Yep.
like, oh, but I need a boyfriend. Oh, but like I need to be in a relationship, and it's
Yeah.
like, okay, but
That's
like,
their whole purpose.
yeah, it's like that's not
your
like
purpose.
you need to grow in yourself. Like, how
Mhm.
can you love any? Like, I know that people say this a lot, but like, how can you love anybody else if you can't
Yeah.
love yourself? And
Exactly.
like, that's just like,
and love God. And
yeah,
I feel,
Yeah.
feel
like even
those
if
girls,
like you aren't like a Christian or anything like that, like still loving yourself and like
Mhm.
being comfortable with who you are is
And having enough respect for yourself
exactly,
to know
yeah,
how
What
you
you
deserve to
want.
be treated.
exactly.
Yeah.
I think a lot of girls are just like, well, that's just how he is. And it's like, no, there shouldn't be
That's-
excuses for
yeah.
someone like that or the way they treat you. That should not,
Yeah.
it's
Well, and
let
so
it happen.
So many people, not just girls, but so many people in general, these, the times that we're in right now, like growing up, they always feel like the relationship's going to define them or getting married is going to define them.
Mhm.
That's the ultimate goal is to get married, but it's
Mhm.
not.
Mm-mm.
Like the ultimate goal is to love God, love people, and to grow spiritually. And if that's with a spouse, that's wonderful. If it's not, then, God has a completely different plan for your life. Just because He doesn't send you a mate when you think He should, that doesn't mean He's
Right.
forgotten you.
Mhm.
Yeah,
And that doesn't mean it's not in His plan for you.
yeah,
Because, it took Austin and I 10 years to grow up enough that we could care about somebody else the way we
Yeah.
needed to.
yeah. But, I mean, it took
So-
you till you're 30 to find that
Exactly.
person. I mean, my sisters were dating when they were like 16. I'm like, why don't I have a boyfriend? Like, what's wrong
Mhm.
with me?
Right.
It's none of that. It was just, like I needed to be on my own path. Like God
Mhm.
put me on a path for, like my career and everything
Mhm.
like that. Like I needed to be settled before I can even go and love anybody else.
Yeah.
Right.
And I needed to love myself and get over, like work through my depression, anxiety, all
Mhm.
of that.
Yeah.
But, He did that. Like God did that. He helped me through that. He saved me
Mhm.
and, you end up finding your like perfect person.
You do. I think one of the biggest things, we're all so different, and
Mm-hmm.
you didn't know about me, I didn't know about you all,
Right.
but one of the biggest things that I'm taking from this is we are so different, but we're not comparing ourselves to each other.
Mm-hmm.
Like
Mhm.
your journey is different than your journey is
Oh,
different
yeah.
than my journey,
Right.
and just because things didn't happen, like you said, with your sister and then with you the exact same way, it didn't happen.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Comparison is such an evil
Mhm.
tool, and like it will
Oh, yeah.
steal every ounce of joy you have.
And it happens
Yeah.
so
It
much within
does.
ladies groups.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah.
And so, that's one thing that I'm super, super glad we got a chance to do is to share how different our stories were, but to also, support each other and uplift each other and
Yeah.
to show that, it's not something you need to give into. Just because your story is different than, your best friend's story or just because your mom got married at 20 and you're 25 and you've not started dating yet, that doesn't mean that God has forgotten you. That doesn't mean that God doesn't have a plan for you. It just means He has a different plan for you. And all of our plans were way different.
You need to trust in His plan and
Exactly.
just keep, following the path that He has for you.
And trust Him.
Yeah.
Like, God opens doors, and if He opens the doors, He's responsible for keeping it open.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
If He closes it, He's responsible for closing it. If we open the doors or if we close the doors, then we're the ones that are responsible for either holding it open or holding it closed.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And that's too much. Like we're
That's
not
too
the
much,
judge of that. Like we
Yeah.
are not the judge of
I'm gonna let Him have
what
control
doors,
of that.
Yeah, exactly.
That's
So
too much.
if you'll hand over that control to Him, He'll open the right doors and He will slam shut the wrong doors.
Oh,
And
yes.
the difference in a closed door and then a brand new open door could be just one day.
Mm-hmm.
Could be an hour.
Could be a couple months. Could be a couple
Exactly.
years.
But it's so
Exactly.
important when He gives you that open door to walk in it.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Because so many
Yeah,
people
so many people just
stubborn.
Yeah.
No, I'm not gonna
right
listen to
over
God.
their head.
Yeah. Or they don't.
Or they don't
they're
trust
good
in Him,
enough,
and they're
yeah.
like,
Yeah.
well, I'm not sure if that's what I should be doing. It's
Yeah.
like, no, like
Yeah.
you
Exactly.
know, like it's like, I don't know. It's just
And that's like the overall theme of all of this. Like
yeah.
when you know, but the only reason why we know is because God let us know.
Mhm.
Like
Yep.
you have that
Mm-hmm.
that peace that the Bible talks about passes all understanding.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Because in all of our situations, like from the outside looking in, nobody would understand what was going
No.
on. Like
Mm-mm.
it doesn't make sense to the rest of the world.
It's crazy.
It makes sense to us because it makes sense to God and it's His way.
Yep.
And it's how He beautifully and perfectly orchestrated it. So
Oh yeah, that was great. Good
that
job,
was
guys.
fun. That was really fun.
I hope
gotta
you guys
Boot out the
enjoyed.
boys more often.
I know. Maybe we'll do a couple more
We should.
I
when you
know.
come back because you're leaving. So
July.
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 That month.
I might talk like that the next time. The
How do
full
you say
accent.
it?
I don't know. I just like saying July now.
July.
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 That sounds exactly like how I said it.
Totally.
July. I can't even say it
She's,
now.
she's way too
The month
focused.
after June. I'm coming the month after June, the month before August.
Okay. Good.
But they have technology
July.
that I think would allow me to join in via FaceTime or
Okay.
something else like that.
We'll have to
The
do.
boys were discussing it. They'll have to.
Yeah,
let
I know
us
because
in on
Austin.
it.
Yeah. Well,
He's-
yeah. It'll
he's
get
pro.
figured out.
It
We'll
will
figure
get
it out.
figured out. But this
Yeah.
will not be the last time you see us.
Yep.
Unless you
Thanks.
just choose not to ever
Yeah,
listen
unless
again.
you really just didn't like this, just comment down below and we'll just make sure this never
But still
happens
like
again.
and comment. And
Yeah.
thanks for watching.
Subscribe and all the fun things. The boys will be in shortly. Or we might just camp out here. We don't know.
Yeah. But thanks for watching. Bye.
Bye.